The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Chapter 11. The Emerald City of Oz. Part 1. Even with their eyes protected by green spectacles, Dorothy and her friends were at first dazzled by the brilliance of the marvelous city. They walked across pavement of the same green marble, with rows of closely set emeralds glittering along each joint in the bright sunshine. The window panes were made of green glass. Even the sky above the city had a greenish tint, and the sun's rays appeared green.
Everything here is green.
Many people, men, women, and children, were out walking, all dressed in green and even showing a greenish tint to their skin. Shops lined the street, and Dorothy noticed that everything in them was green. Vendors offered green candy and green popcorn, as well as green shoes, green hats, and green clothing of every kind. At one stall, a man sold green lemonade, and when children bought some, Dorothy saw them pay with green pennies. There seemed to be no horses or any animals at all. Everyone appeared happy, content, and prosperous. The guardian of the gates guided them through the streets to a large building exactly at the city's center, the Palace of Oz, the Great Wizard. A soldier stood before the door, dressed in a green uniform and wearing a long green beard. "Here are strangers," the guardian of the gates said to him, "and they insist on seeing the Great Oz. Step inside." The soldier replied, "And I'll carry your message to him."
Come inside.
They passed through the palace gates. They were shown into a large room with a green carpet and elegant green furniture inlaid with emeralds. The soldier had them wipe their feet on a green mat before they entered, and once they were seated, he said politely, "Please make yourselves comfortable while I go to the door of the throne room and tell Oz you've arrived." They had to wait a long time before the soldier returned. When he finally came back, Dorothy asked, "Have you seen Oz?" "Oh, no," the soldier replied. "I've never seen him. But I spoke to him while he sat behind his screen and delivered your message. He said he will grant you an audience if you wish. However, each of you must enter alone, and he will admit only one per day. Since you'll need to remain in the palace for several days, I'll have you shown to rooms where you can rest comfortably after your journey." "Thank you," the girl replied. "That is very kind of Oz."
Please make yourselves comfortable.
The soldier blew a green whistle, and at once a young girl in a lovely green silk gown entered. She had beautiful green hair and green eyes, and she bowed deeply to Dorothy. "Follow me," she said. "I'll show you to your room." Dorothy said goodbye to all her friends except Toto. She carried the dog in her arms and followed the green girl through 7 corridors. They went up 3 flights of stairs and reached a room at the front of the palace. It was the sweetest little room, furnished with a soft, comfortable bed made up with green silk sheets and a green velvet counterpane. Beautiful green flowers stood in the windows. Inside the wardrobe hung many green dresses, silk, satin, and velvet, and every one fit Dorothy exactly. "Please make yourself completely at home," the green girl said. "If you need anything, ring the bell. Oz will send for you tomorrow morning."
Wow, there are many dresses here.
She left Dorothy to herself and returned to the others. She led them to their rooms, and each found lodging in a very pleasant part of the palace. Of course, Such courtesy was wasted on the Scarecrow. Alone in his room, he simply stood in one spot just inside the doorway, waiting for morning. Lying down would not refresh him, and he could not close his eyes. The Tin Woodman lay down on his bed from habit, remembering the time when he had been flesh and blood. Unable to sleep, he spent the night flexing his joints to be sure they stayed in good working order. The Lion would have preferred a bed of dry leaves in the forest and disliked being shut indoors. Still, he was sensible enough not to fret. He sprang onto the bed, curled up like a cat, and purred himself to sleep within a minute.
Good night, everyone.
The next morning, after breakfast, the Green Maiden came to fetch Dorothy. She dressed her in one of the prettiest gowns, a green brocaded satin. Dorothy added a green silk apron and tied a green ribbon around Toto's neck. Together, they set off for the throne room of the Great Oz. First, they entered a grand hall filled with ladies and gentlemen of the court, all dressed in splendid costumes. When Dorothy arrived, they regarded her curiously, and one murmured, "Are you truly going to look upon the face of Oz the Terrible?" "Of course," the girl replied. "If he agrees to see me." "He will see you," said the soldier who carried your message, "though he dislikes being asked for audiences. At first he was angry and told me to send you back. Then he asked what you look like, and when I mentioned your silver shoes, his interest was piqued. At last, when I told him about the mark on your forehead, he decided to admit you to his presence." At that moment a bell rang, and the green girl said to Dorothy, "That's the signal. You must enter the throne room alone." She opened a little door, and Dorothy stepped through boldly into a marvelous place. It was a spacious circular room with a high arched ceiling, and the walls, ceiling, and floor were clad in closely set emeralds. From the center of the roof hung a brilliant light, bright as the sun, which made the emeralds glitter in spectacular fashion. What drew Dorothy's attention most was the great throne of green marble standing at the room's center. Shaped like a chair, it glittered with gems, as did everything around it. Set in the middle of the chair was an enormous head, without a body to support it and with no arms or legs at all. Bald, yet with eyes, a nose, and a mouth, it was larger than the head of the greatest giant.
I am Oz, the Great and Terrible.
While Dorothy gazed at it in awe and fear, the eyes slowly turned and fixed on her with a sharp, steady look. Then the mouth moved, and she heard a voice say, "I am Oz, the Great and Terrible. Who are you, and why do you seek me?" The voice was not as dreadful as she had expected from the enormous head, so she gathered her courage and replied, "I am Dorothy, the small and meek. I have come to ask for your help." The eyes regarded her thoughtfully for a full minute. Then the voice said, "Where did you get the silver shoes?" "I got them from the Wicked Witch of the East when my house fell on her and killed her," she replied. "Where did you get the mark upon your forehead?" The voice continued, "The Good Witch of the North kissed me there when she bade me farewell." The girl said, "Then she sent me to you."
She kissed my forehead.
Again, the eyes fixed on her, discerning she spoke the truth. Then Oz asked, "What would you have me do?" "Send me back to Kansas, where my Aunt Em and Uncle Henry live." she answered earnestly. I'm certain Aunt Em is terribly worried because I've been gone so long. The eyes winked 3 times, swept up to the ceiling, down to the floor, and rolled so oddly that they seemed to take in every corner of the room. At last, they fixed on Dorothy once more. "Why should I do this for you?" Oz asked. "Because you are strong and I am weak, because you are a great wizard and I am only a little girl. Yet you were strong enough to kill the Wicked Witch of the East," Oz said. "That was an accident," Dorothy replied quietly. "I couldn't help it."
That just happened.
"Very well," said the head. "Here is my answer. You have no right to expect me to send you back to Kansas. You must do something for me in return. In this land, everyone must pay for what he receives. If you wish me to use my magic to send you home, you must first do something for me. Help me, and I will help you. What do you require me to do?" asked the girl. "Kill the Wicked Witch of the West," Oz replied. "But I cannot," Dorothy exclaimed, astonished. "You slew the Witch of the East, and you wear the silver shoes, which hold powerful magic." He said, "There is only one wicked witch left in all this land. When you can tell me she is dead, I will send you back to Kansas, but not before."
The silver shoes have powerful magic.
The little girl began to weep, so great was her disappointment. The eyes winked again and regarded her anxiously, as though the great Oz believed she could help him if she would. "I have never killed anything willingly," she sobbed. "Even if I wished to, how could I kill the Wicked Witch? If you, who are great and terrible, cannot slay her yourself, how do you expect me to do it?" "I do not know," said the head. "But that is my answer. Until the Wicked Witch is dead, you will not see your aunt and uncle again. Remember, she is wicked, tremendously wicked, and deserves to be killed. Now go, and do not ask to see me again until your task is done."
Lose!
Sorrowfully, Dorothy left the throne room and went back to the Lion, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Woodman, who were waiting to hear Oz's decision. "There's no hope for me," she said sadly. "Oz won't send me home until I've killed the Wicked Witch of the West, and that's something I can never do." Her friends were sorry for her but could do nothing, so Dorothy returned to her room, lay down on the bed, and cried herself to sleep.